Hi everyone, hope you're all having a great day. I'm having a brilliant day. I'm sat in my new studio. I spent a couple of days working in Artrage, but today I just sort of thought I'd kick back a bit, pick up my iPad, and I've just been doodling. So let's have a look at what I've been up to. I decided I didn't want to be messing about with colour or anything. So this is a brush and ink drawing, and I just used black, as I say. The brush, I used the smallest size paintbrush you can get, and I love, when I do pen and ink, I love the brush because just the slightest bit of pressure and you get these thick lines, and then you just take the pressure off and the lines become really thin. So you have a lot of control just by applying the pressure onto the tablet surface with the pen. And so even though you're painting digital, there's a lot of organic elements to it, I suppose, where you're in control with the pressure that you're applying, just as you would if you was working with a real paintbrush or not paintbrush really, drawing brush, I suppose, or watercolour brush dipping in ink. So you see there, just by putting a bit of pressure on, I can get some really thick lines. So this is a photo I pulled up off my Google Photos account. That sort of every time I take a snap, they just go straight to Google. And then I was sat here this morning thinking, what shall I do? So I was just sort of pulled out. I thought, oh, that'd make a nice little sketch. And usually I kind of, with sketches like this, I go in with the detail first, but this time I sort of put the rough shape of the trunk in, but I got straight interested in just doodling this background in, and it varies between drawing lines, thick lines like that's going in now, and then I'm using much thinner lines and just sort of scribbling in leaves really. And trying to be as quick as I can so there's not a lot of shaking going off. It's all nice defined lines that are in there, and the sort of bigger shapes I break up with smaller lines, like in the leaves. I've got quite a thick outline around the leaf and then use thinner lines to fill them in. And I keep sort of referring what I am doing. I didn't look at the source material much for this one. I was much more sort of scanning over the drawing as I was sketching, making sure that I was keeping the leaves of a similar style, similar size where I needed to be, and make them a little bit bigger in the foreground. There I'd use the eraser just to put in a few lines. So you can see I'm just going in, getting really dark colour, almost solid black, around the silhouette of that tree shape, and then gradually fading them out to the leaves patterns that are just doodled in. That's why I call this a doodle really. It's not a drawing so much. There's no real observation going off. I'm just letting the pen wander away and putting these little shapes that I really enjoyed. I actually did this sketch in 2 parts. I probably didn't quite do as much as this, but a mate came round with his guitar and we sat jamming for a couple of hours, and then I went back to the drawing to finish it. So it's been a really cool, relaxing, chilled out day all in all really for me. So that was the kind of background done. You notice I haven't got any hard edges to the sides or the top or the bottom. They all sort of meander and make this random kind of shape. And then to get the curve of the tree, I do make the brush a little bit smaller. And then I start doing these curved lines, which give the impression that this trunk is curved. And you notice I begin by applying pressure at the start of the stroke and at the end of the stroke. So you get a little bit of a thick line. It goes thinner and then becomes thick again. I thought that added a nice touch for the shadows on the tree. And also you can see I've in the sort of bottom part of the trunk, I made the line thicker in the middle to add sort of texture to that, and then I just sort of drew over the bottom of that trunk just to lose it in the grasses. I'm doing exactly the same with this smaller branch. You can see I'm going from thin to thick. Then I do just a few random lines that are all the same sort of pressure all the way across, and then some thicker ones. And again, that using that curved edge, that's really important. Putting that curved shape to the hatching, that just adds, gives the impression that that tree trunk is curved. I put in another branch using a razor to lift out everything that's behind it or inside the branch, and then start adding a few more details, another leaf in there. A few vertical lines that sort of gives the bark. I thought there was too many in there. It just needed a few to the left and to the right, but not all the way across. Just gives the tree a little bit more sort of gnarled, aged look, really, and sort of takes away the uniformity of it. Use the eraser just to break those lines up a tiny little bit, not a lot, and then some more hatching. And I've sort of added in a few more lines using the eraser, putting a few more leaves in, using it to flick in a few branches and twigs here and there in the background, just sort of to break up those really dark lines a little bit. And then I use the brush again just to flick over those bits that I erased, just to sort of break them up a bit. And there we go. That's it. That is my doodle of a tree trunk, I guess, in Tayasui sketches. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I've got lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!